Hey, welcome back to the Big Rant Show. Let's get right to the news. Still dealing with the fallout from Friday's Nazi, fascist, white supremacist rally and counter protest from the anti-fascist groups. It's all the fallout from, we had the one person who died, the one counter protester who died simply for the fact of being there. There's been reports on that the car was supposedly hit with a brick or the car was hit with a club, according to one of the comments down below. But I'll tell you this, I just watched the video, and if an individual hit the car with a brick or a club, why didn't he deal with the individual? Why did he drive almost another block down the street to hit the group of people where he ended up murdering one of them? Just a question, sir. Now, on to some more sad events that came out of that. You had two state troopers, Virginia state troopers, who died in a helicopter crash related to the rally, the Nazi rally and the counter protest that followed. And their helicopter crashed just a few miles from the scene, from Charlottesville, outside of Charlottesville, and they both died. You had Lieutenant H.J. Cullen, who was a veteran of the State Troopers Aviation Division in Virginia. And then you had, and he had a wife, 2 kids. He was a family man from what I've read. And then his co-pilot or whatever position it was that he was, they call him Trooper Pilot Burke M.M. Bates. He died just a day before his 41st birthday, and he also just transferred to the State Trooper Aviation Division in Virginia just last month. My heart goes out to the family and friends of these two individuals. All these people were doing was trying to keep the peace between two groups that, two groups that really don't represent the majority of Americans. Because you have the fascists on one side, you have the fascists and Nazis and stuff on one side, and then you have the Antifa movement, which is mostly, a lot of them are not necessarily holding our views as Americans. A lot of them are anarchists and stuff like that. And either way you go, neither have a place really in our civil discourse when it comes to the violence that they tend to bring. The anti-fascists have a history of attacking, in the last year, attacking Trump supporters and punching them and beating them for whatever reason. And you have your fascist folks who have beat up people simply for being Hispanic or being anti-fascist or whatever. But these two gentlemen were simply trying to keep the peace. They're trying to help the police below keep everything in order. And they lost their lives doing so. And my heart goes out to their friends and family. And definitely the children of H.J. Cullen. And I don't have a whole lot of information on Burke Bates. I don't know if he was married and had kids or not, but if he was, my heart goes out to them as well. And everybody in the law enforcement community, I know they're, reeling from this because, you lose a brother, whether or not you know them or not. I'm sure it hurts. But these two individuals have a lot of, it's a lot of respect. They were just trying to keep the peace and let these two groups, whether we like them or not, have their protest and their constitutional right to protest and demonstrate. But let me be clear. Let me be very clear. I in no way condone violence of any kind. I have no support for violence of any kind in our political discourse. I have no qualms of calling people out for being violent when it comes to politics. But at the same time, if you want to peacefully demonstrate and peacefully protest, I don't care who you are or what message, no matter how horrible I may think it is, you have the right. They should have the right to protest. But also realize, people, when you start doing things that, you start being violent at protests, you've overstepped your rights at that point. And then you have people like these two law enforcement officers and other law enforcement officers who either get injured, harmed in some way, or they get killed because two sides can't keep it peaceful. So they're having to do more work than normal. I don't really know what else to say. All I know is these two groups, I don't support either of them. But I do support their right to exist. I do support their right to protest. But I do wish hate would go away. But the issue is, this is America. Our Constitution guarantees everybody, no matter how vile and despicable their speech, they are allowed to speak. That's the Constitution, and that's what makes America great, is everybody has a right to speak. But these two right here, I guess they don't get a chance. They don't get their chance to speak. So to Lieutenant H.J. Cullen and Trooper Pilot Burke M.M. Bates, much respect, much love, and rest in peace. Please check back for more videos later in the week. Hopefully we can get onto some different topics. That's the hope anyway. We'll see where things go from here.